Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Virgo514. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole for telling my husband I'll go on vacation with the kids and my best friend if he's too busy with work? And this continued on from an Am I the Arsehole for telling my husband that he worked for himself and not our family. We'll go through the whole thing, which started in January 19th, 2024, which was titled, Am I the Arsehole for telling my husband he worked for himself, not for our family. It begins, My husband and I have known each other for 6 years and been married for almost 3 years now. We have a 1-year-old and we're expecting another baby. Our marriage has been full of emotional highs. We love each other and let the other know regularly. My husband has a 9-to-5 job, after which he is also a tutor. It started this back when we were in college, and it was never an issue. It always had enough time, even in the years leading up to the marriage and the first year of our marriage. This was never a big issue. However, in the last year or so, it's become a big issue, and it's getting worse. He keeps on adding more classes to his schedule. Until last month we had a red line that no classes on Sunday. He would devote that entire time to us, but last month he even added a class on Sunday on the excuse that exams are starting. It started to feel like me and my son weren't a priority to him anymore. Some days he comes home at 11. On other days he's doing it online, but that's not much better because he still can't give us any time. Last Sunday I finally spoke out and told him he was neglecting his family. He was offended and told me that he doesn't enjoy having to work so hard, but he's doing it for our family. This is where I told him that no, I think he does enjoy it. It gives him an excuse to not spend time with us, and that he was doing this for himself, not for us. As things currently stand, our collective income is more than enough. There really was no need for him to add more classes on top of his existing ones. He's doing it for himself at this point. He's literally busy Monday to Saturday, and now he's trying to cross the red line we established for Sunday. We've been on bad terms since this fight. He keeps saying he can't believe that I said he works for himself, not for us. Am I the arsehole here? The first commenter, who was downvoted, said to OP, It's going to be hard and you're going to have to grit your teeth through it, but if he's working all the time to support his family, love the man and cherish the little time you get with him. He's grinding to support you. Would you rather you spend all the time in the world together and living in squalor or on the streets? Please support him while he supports his family. Hell, have you told him you're proud of him for working so hard? OP says, I have a 9-to-5 job too. And like I said, our collective income covers our expenses and then some. If that weren't the case, of course, I wouldn't be angry. I would understand. But given the situation, the fact that he took away the one day we get together just because it's exam season really got to me. I also want to make clear I absolutely appreciate how he provides for us to give us a great standard of living. I've told him this many times. But now it feels like he's adding more work to disengage. Commenter asks for info and says, Did he grow up lower income? His father may have worked himself to the bone to keep them above water, so it may be all he knows. OP says no. Both his parents are doctors. That was clearly not the case. Someone says info. I see where you're coming from, but I gotta ask. You sound like you feel secure about your financial situation. But does he? You're expecting another kid. You have a 1-year-old with another on the way. I don't know where you're based, but certain regions are more expensive than others for families to live in. Based on just that information alone, there could be plenty of thought put behind whether or not you guys have the financial stability for the future. You clearly think so, but does your husband? Have you ever had that conversation with him fruitfully, honestly, about the objective truth of your financial stability, and his and your thoughts on it? OP responded, yes, we had that discussion before. We talked about how since we're already comfortable, there shouldn't be any need to have a class on Sunday. In fact, at the time, I also thought he should cut down on his existing classes, but relented on the Sunday agreement. I didn't think the numbers were important, but a lot of comments, not you, seem to doubt my judgment that we are stable. I'm an accountant who makes $70,000 a year. My husband is a software engineer who makes over $100,000, and based on how many students he teaches and how many classes he has, he makes over $100,000 from that. Our household income covers our expenses. I'm an accountant. This is kind of my bread and butter. So Opie comes in January 20th, 2024 and says, "Thank you for the feedback in the last post." The comment said that me asking him to adhere to the boundaries we established was reasonable. Some comments also suggested that I should not have implied that he works just to get away, so I was a little apologetic as well. After he came back, I decided to talk to him about this. The conversation was a bit of a train wreck. I brought up the fact that our income far exceeds our current and projected expenses, that me and our son were missing him and needed him to spend more time with us. I made sure to stress that I appreciated all he did. It just seemed like we're on completely different wavelengths. He said he kept on taking more lessons and students because he wanted us to have a good standard of living, have better vacations, better schools, a second house. I was dumbfounded. I never knew he felt that way. I stressed our current standard of living was great, we make enough money, and that if he thinks that way there's no end in sight. What if he decided we should just have a third house or something? Right now, I needed him with me. At this point, I kind of lost control and started crying. I didn't mean to. It wasn't something I wanted to do to pressure him or anything. Just the fact that we're at an impasse was wrecking me. I told him I'd been feeling unhappy, but I kept compromising and he reneged on it. After some more crying and consoling, my husband agreed that Sunday should have remained off limits. He gently asked me to give him a pass for one more Sunday because his students' exams end next week, and he'd make Sunday untouchable the following semester onwards. He also promised to try and resize his classes in order to be able to come back home for dinner, even if it's late dinner. He asked for time to do all this. I've given it to him, and I know he loves us enough to do what he has promised. Thanks for the feedback to the original post. A commenter says to OP, "You need to tell him that he needs to get right with his family and you right now. Or he might be living in that third house alone. Play him Cats in the Cradle as background music." OP says, "I would like the changes to happen immediately, but I want those changes to be permanent. If he does something at a snap right now, but he has to go back, that would suck. So I'm just giving him the time to make those sustainable changes. I'm getting our Sunday back after the next one, which is progress. At least we're back to the red line." He said he had already booked a lot of classes for the next semester, so he just asked for time to discuss and rearrange them since he can't say no to his students after agreeing. He was earnest. I believe I made it known to him the toll it's been taking on me, and he will make the necessary changes. A commenter says, "OP, you did a good job and took an important first step. I think it'd be unrealistic for him to do a complete 180 after this conversation, and this is a necessary stepping stone. I'm usually very negative about relationships, but it disheartened me to see all the top comments being so negative when you took the time to update us and you didn't need to. I hope things continue to improve for you." Opie says thank you. I thought I did good, then I found a lot of people here disagreed, so I started doubting how I did. I appreciate what everyone is saying, but he's a loving husband, friend, and father. It's just one issue that's just gotten out of hand. I can't think of packing my bags. I believe he was neglecting us, but during the conversation realized he didn't know the extent to which it was affecting us. The classes issue has been getting bigger and bigger over time, so I realized fixing it will require some time. I'm just going to make sure I see him do it. Commenter says, "Have you guys considered hiring or a maid or a nanny to help with household duties? If you're making enough money, it could be worth the investment to reduce your burden." Opie says, "Yeah, that came up in the conversation and I'm looking into it. My job is work from home 2 days of the week, so that helps, and my mum lives close by, which is super helpful too. Most days I manage the household and child rearing without any issues. Like, it's not like I plan to give him a list of errands to run on the days he's in the house, but him just being physically present is something I'm missing now, and he promised to remedy it as well as he can." Commenter says, "The biggest problem I see is that his self-worth is being validated by his students and classes, more than by his own family. He likes how teaching makes him feel, and he doesn't get the same validation from being just a husband and father. So he will continue to prefer working as much as he can, and it's double whammy because he justifies the extra work is for his family. So he feels doubly validated for doing good things." Opie says, "Your comment stayed with me for some reason, and I kept coming back to it. I asked him yesterday if he enjoyed teaching physics and math for hours on end. But he works so long, how does he not start hating it? I did bring up the topic of reduced hours or Sunday because we already have an agreement on that now. He said he does like it. After some more inconspicuous kneeling, he told me he enjoys the fact that so many people trust that he can make them understand stuff and better their grades and future. I didn't go further into it, but your comment really helped give me some insight. Thank you so much. So it was a bit over a year later that OP came in, March 11th, 2025, and said, around a year ago, I'd been having issues with my husband regarding his tutoring schedule, and I'd come here to know if I was in the wrong. A few people have asked me to let them know if things improve or continue to deteriorate. We're in a better place now. We've been blessed with a daughter now too. He's become better at handling his workload and tutors primarily online now. I know I had said at the time that that's not much better, but it really is. Sundays have become sacrosanct again, with very rare exceptions that he asks for my approval in advance, and Wednesdays are free now too. He does more group tutoring now, so he gets done by 8:30 most days too. He also got a new day job, which is entirely work from home, which has made things much better because he isn't so burnt out anymore. In the weeks following up to my daughter's arrival, he's been by my side, especially since she arrived during the summer when school is out. I also took some advice from here and hired help to ease the burden, which has worked out really well. I've also learned to embrace the fact that his tutoring gives him joy, which maybe his software development job doesn't. He seems to be proud when his students get in good universities, and that it results in even more students. He still claims to do it purely for financial reasons, but I know that can't be completely true, because our financial needs really do not require it. So it must be something he enjoys. So I've become more understanding on that front too. I've had to put my foot down a few times though, especially in the initial days following our conversation, to make sure he understands that I was serious about needing his presence more. I'd also confided in his older sister about the issue, which he was not happy about at the time and was probably an accidental arsehole move on my end. But it helped. He had an argument. She straight up told him he was either going to end up working his way into an early grave at the age of 30 or ending up divorced, which helped. Full disclosure, the only time we ever really argue is still about this, when I'll want him to be free but he won't be. But it's rare, and overall we've come up with a good balance that seems to be working for us. Thank you. A commenter says to OP, this is so sad. Imagine having to go through all this to force your spouse to spend time with you and your kid. It's sad that your idea of better is still him barely being around except for one full day a week. At the end of the day, if the choice was up to him, he'd rather spend time tutoring than with you and his own child. That's because he's not doing it for money like he said. He's doing it so he doesn't have to be around you guys. It's so sad that you've accepted it. Commenter says it sounds as if the situation is still sort of a work in progress, but it's getting more positive for both of you and resentment isn't growing on either side. That's good, and congratulations on your daughter. So the next one came a few months later, November 2025, and it said, am I the arsehole for telling my husband I'll go on vacation with the kids and my best friend if he's too busy with work? It said, my husband and I have been married for over 4 years. Our son is 3 and our daughter is 16 months old. My husband has a busy schedule, due to both his day job and his business after that, and on Saturdays, and sometimes if I'm okay with it, Sundays. We planned to go to Spain at the end of December for a couple of weeks. Like, we bought tickets, booked a hotel, talked about how we'll spend our 2 weeks there. Last weekend they asked if we could postpone our trip to the end of June, like a literal 6 months after we're supposed to go. I said no. It was so unfair that he was pulling this at the last minute. He asked me to understand that his business required him to suddenly change his plans, that it was important that he'd been looking forward to this downtime as much as I had. To provide more context, this isn't the first time this has been an issue. His business hours had been an issue over the past 2 to 3 years. He'd made changes and organized his hours better, and his job had become work from home too. So we had struck a balance that I could be okay with. But his business hours again started infringing on our family time, and had been promoted to a managerial role at his day job, so he was now going into work on some days too. I told him I'd been looking forward to this for so long, counting days until our vacation. I told him I'll be going regardless whether he wants to come or not, and if he doesn't want to come, we can get a refund and my best friend can go in his place. Admittedly, I was just lashing out, I have no idea of the logistics of it. Yesterday I asked him again what his plan was. He tried to show me messages from his class to show how busy he was during that period. I told him I don't care. He gave me his word. According to him, I'm being unreasonable. I wanted to know, am I the arsehole here? Also, I don't even know if it's logistically feasible, and I don't want it to come to it. But would I be the arsehole if I actually went on vacation and took my best friend along? So people were asking in the comments again, like, what's the financial situation? Does he need to be working a second job? And does he really need to please this client this much? And OP says our financial situation is well in the green. Tending to these clients during those 2 weeks won't make or break us. Commenter says he needs to either set the boundary with his clients that he won't be available those 2 weeks or do the work remotely from Spain. His business is tutoring students. If he lets them know now, he can plan what he's tutoring them on to get them ready for exams before he goes away. Definitely hold your ground on this. From your previous post, he has a real issue with overworking and not prioritizing family. It's like he feels like he's failing if he relaxes, and that's not good for his health long term, or his marriage. Maybe says thanks, I agree, and maybe that's the compromise I can go with. That he can do it online from there. It's not ideal, but I'm not wild about him doing his classes while we're on vacation, but at least we'll be together. I'll think about it. Also, I just realized my profile was available for people to see my previous posts. It sounds wrong, but I was trying to keep the business vague rather than mention that it's his tutoring business, because when that gets mentioned, everyone becomes a lot more sympathetic about the work. But it's not a charity he's running, it's his business. Commenter says the tutoring thing makes him look worse, honestly. He could have easily told his students he's not going to be available those weeks months ago. And that's even before I peeked at your profile and saw you were the one who posted previously about what a workaholic your husband is. If you do delay the vacation, you know he's just going to cancel it again, right? He's addicted to working, and this is never going to end. Opie says I'm surprised and honestly relieved that his business being tutoring isn't clouding people's judgment. It definitely does in real life. If I ever in passing talk about how busy he is, everyone, including my own mum lol, is like, yeah, it sucks, but also look at how many students' future he's securing. At this point, I just honestly want to reply with, what about our kids? My kids get his undivided attention less than other people's kids. I know it sounds horrible. The commenter says, knowing what his business is actually makes me more sympathetic about you. It's not like he's a contractor that maybe something unexpected happened and X project got delayed and suddenly he needs time. If he's tutoring students, then literally he chooses how to fill his agenda. A responsible father/husband would block his agenda for those vacation days, make plans with the students, and would be very clear with his boundaries. Unfortunately, your family is not a priority for him, and doesn't know how, or doesn't want to, make you guys a priority. And besides that, Spain in June is full summer, and the heat is really strong. December, yes, it's winter, but depending on where you're going, it would be better weather. Finally, I'd bet anything that if you agreed, you'd be having the same conversation in May. Not the arsehole. Go on that trip, OP, and have a great time with your kids. OP says exactly. I know Spain is going to be so hot in the summer. That's why I don't want to delay it. We planned on being outside and going places and walking in the heat without kids doesn't sound like fun. He knows he has to make us a priority, and had been trying to juggle it well, and doing well with it too. But his classes just get more filled up every semester. I handle the finances so I can see it. I've made the case to him that he should just cap it now, but that doesn't go anywhere. And then his new role at his software job also messed up the balance we had. Another one says, girl, I remember your previous post now. You are so not the arsehole. Your husband is pulling this crap again. He literally sets his own schedule. He scheduled these students knowing you already had a vacation planned. What is the deal? He's not the most important tutor in the world. These kids can find another tutor if he's full. If this was totally unexpected or he was like the only doctor in the world who could perform a life-saving surgery during that week, I'd feel a little more sympathy. But he's literally doing this to himself, and he's doing it to you. I'm so mad for you. When is he going to start prioritizing his family? I mean, seriously, if you go to Spain by yourself, is that really all that different from the life you're living right now when he's working all the time? Opie says, I'm going to bring up the idea of him doing classes while in Spain, with boundaries. It's not ideal, but it should work. I've been really looking forward to this family vacation, so this way we'll get to have that. A commenter replies saying that may be a fix for now, but boundaries don't work when your husband continues to blow through them and faces no consequences. If you're divorced right now and your husband had 50-50 custody, he'd see his kids more. Is this really how you want to continue living? If you're fine with how things are right now, then that's fine, but it doesn't seem like you are happy. because this keeps coming up again and again, and he continues not to listen to you, and then he complains about problems that he created. This vacation is now an issue between the two of you because he knowingly scheduled people during the vacation time. He had complete control over the situation and scheduled students anyway. He can't say no to his students, but he has no problem saying no to you and making you compromise and clean up his mess again and again and again. Are you really okay with that? Opie says, no, I'm not. I'd like him to dedicate more of his time to us. And he did make things better, but things got out of hand again. He's a good and loving husband and father otherwise. It's just this one issue. And it is what it is, I guess. But pulling the rug out at the last minute is unacceptable. And that's why I don't think I should postpone the vacation. I'm going to push for him doing it online from there. I think that'd be a good compromise. Someone asked for info saying, does he provide all of the income to the household? How old is his business? Did he break down the difficulties he'd be facing with you in pursuing a new business when you married or when he started it? Is he eventually hoping to turn his business into his full-time profession? What is the goal in it? I ask these questions because it really does determine if he's the arsehole or not. My business is less than 3 years old, and often a new business can require a lot of work. Like, a lot. Vacations changing is like one of the most common changes a business owner needs to face. I spoke with my husband before pursuing. Did he speak with you? Opie says no. I also work. I'm an accountant and I have work from home half the week, so on like a 2 to 3 basis. Our income distribution is roughly 75 to 25. His business is about 7 to 8 years old now. He started it in college, and the workload wasn't a problem until a few years ago. I've suggested he make the business his sole work, especially since we'd be comfortable without his day job too. His reasoning has been that because his business hours kind of don't align with a 9 to 5, he wouldn't be making use of those hours anyway, although I've told him that doing nothing would be the goal. A commenter, who was downvoted this time, says, don't make threats or it will harm your marriage. Not enough info here. Do you work? Are you a trophy wife? Do you provide any financial support to the household, or does his business pay the bills? As a man, he is doing his best to make the business a success and maintain a clientele to give you the life you and he thinks your family deserves. Support him. We do not know if your best friend is a guy or girl, as that matters. If my wife did what you suggested you would do, and it was a man, the next conversation we would be having is about divorce and custody arrangements. Opie says, yes, I work, and I'm proud of what he's accomplished, but I also want him to be creating these memories with me and our kids. If I thought him forgoing those clients for those 2 weeks would be critically harmful, I wouldn't push him. But we've long passed the point of being fine financially, and I just feel those other aspects of our family life need more attention. My best friend is a girl. She's been my best friend since we were in school. And still, it just feels like the husband just keeps pushing the line while OP keeps adapting and making up compromises for him. And there's clearly a pattern you can see through this of OP saying something, this is hurting the family or whatever. The husband seems to acknowledge it and agrees. Then there's some improvements happening, even if they're just small. But then the work creeps back in again, OP adjusts, and it just repeats. And the vacation thing is wild because, he's a tutor. These dates weren't sprung on him. The holiday was already booked. He knew about it. Yet somehow the solution becomes moving a family trip by 6 months because he's filled his schedule again. It's a choice. But OP comes in with another update, November 9th, 2025, and says, hi, thanks for the feedback on my first post. I decided to suggest he do his tutoring classes online while we're in Spain as a compromise. Ooh, and that's what I was planning on doing. My husband caught a cold on Thursday though, and had been really down and out the last couple of days. He had taken these 2 days off work from his day job, despite my insistence that he rest. He tried to do his tutoring class as scheduled, but literally couldn't get through it and cancelled those as well. I didn't want to have the conversation while he was this sick, so I postponed it. It was great. Maybe not the best choice of words as a wife talking about my husband getting sick, lol, to kind of just have him do nothing for these 2 days. He spent time with the kids and a few of his friends. And some mutual friends of ours came to our place to see him because they rarely see him outside of important occasions. Last night I brought up the vacation again. He agreed without too much resistance. He said he'll move around some classes or take them in advance, but either way he'll be with us for the vacation. I thanked him and also told him he needs to take it easy, it's clearly affecting his health. It was like him being sick isn't because of the work, it's because of the change in weather. I did bring up that we had an agreement earlier and that he'd kept to it for a while and we'd really struck a good balance, but things are back to the way they were prior to that. He said he always asked me before filling up Sundays, and that is true to be fair. It's just there's only so many times I can say no. He also mentioned how 2 people he knows have recently been laid off, that times are bad economically. I told him I don't see why that has to affect him. We're doing well financially. We have more than enough savings. Our careers are good. He has a business that has been growing every year. We're secure where we are. He said he was too sick to talk about this, and that right now our kids are young. They need less of him. That his classes are important because students and parents come to him after having heard of him, and that it's important for them to get into good universities. I told him that our son is old enough that he now wants to spend time with him, and that I can compromise on my needs and wants, but not our kids. He got the point I was trying to make and said that he'll make the necessary changes. I'm glad our vacation is back on track. I've been really looking forward to this as a family. Also, I'm glad I told him I'd been reneging on the balance we'd established earlier, and he'd be going back to it. He did do it the last time, so I'm confident he'll do it again. We both just have to work to make sure we keep it in place. Thanks a lot. And the pattern's repeating again. Ooh, dearie me. Someone said to OP on the back of this, glad the vacation is happening, supposedly, but he's full of crap. He's made his priorities clear. Young kids need their parents more. Commodore says, as soon as you mentioned Sundays, I remembered your older posts. I'm glad the vacation is back on, but honestly, your husband needs to do some sort of cats in the cradle, 3 goes visiting him wake-up call. He really only stayed with your previous deal for a short amount of time. I wish I knew some way to get through to him, but I think it's going to be very hard. I'm sorry, I don't think he's going to get better with his time management, and it will always be on you to nag him. If he really doesn't get better, I think in the future you should book any vacation you want, and if he comes or not, that's on him. He needs his eyes opened. Enjoy your vacation, and I hope you have a great family memories. Obi says he did get better with it a while back, when I'd seriously brought it up with him. This was when I was pregnant with my daughter. He just slipped back lately, and the new role in his day job messed with the balance a bit. I think this vacation will be a good reset. So, OP came in January 2026 and says, hi. A few people were kind enough to keep me in their thoughts and wanted to know how our vacation went, if it did at all. So my husband did keep to his word and we had a really good time in Spain, and Portugal too, and he didn't do any classes while we were there. So lately he'd been frequently running fevers and not been well. I brought up that his workload was catching up to him. He denied it. We ended up going to our family doctor. His blood pressure had come out 150/110. She asked us questions and also asked him if his day-to-day involved stress, and he said no. I was actually stunned when he said that. I unloaded and told her exactly what his schedule looks like. She made it clear that with his family's history of high blood pressure and his workload, he was shaving years off his life and messing up his immunity too. That was my breaking point. I told him I loved him to bits. If anything happened to him, I'd be devastated, crazy with grief, but I would summon the strength to live. But I will not let him deprive our kids of their father by working himself to death. I had given him enough chances, and he was taking advantage of my love for him by reneging on our established boundaries. If I had to disrupt his late night classes myself, I would. He told me to give him time. We had an argument because I was having deja vu of previous conversations. I gave him a week to do what he needed to do. He managed to make some really meaningful changes. It was stuff I'd been suggesting for so long, but he'd been resisting and not listening to me. I think he thought if he combined into larger groups than he'd already had, he'd receive some pushback. Well, not a single student left, nor any parent complained after he did it. He's since managed to have Wednesdays and Sundays completely free. Mondays, Fridays and Saturdays are reasonable, only Tuesdays and Thursdays are bad. We had a great vacation. He was fully present, and it was the kind of vacation that I had wanted. One where we could decompress. When we were flying back, I asked him if he had fun. He kind of laughed and said that he's not our kids, that I had to check up on him. I told him it's not that. I was really happy the way he kept to our established boundaries, and I know it's a change for him, and that we're both going to make sure we keep those boundaries intact. I know it's just a step in the right direction, but I'm hopeful we can maintain this. I'm also going to be more forceful about this. I don't care if people around us think I'm holding him back, or if these boundaries mean some kids don't get the help from whom they need. I will not sacrifice my kids' happiness for them. Thanks a lot for all the help and advice. So we have a few more comments before what is titled the final update. First one says, I'm glad the vacation was great and actually happened. Sucks his health is actually in trouble, and we can hope this is the wake-up call he needs, but God, you had to mum him and tell the doctor his likely cause of stress. That's not a good look for him. Is he like actively parenting your kids, or is he just a family friend and grandparent who pops in to help you? Could he take care of the kids if you got in an accident and knows what they like and dislike, as well as any allergies, or would you need to call in external help to take care of them for him? When he is planning on cutting back so he can spend time with them, does he have a time frame, or is it just a nebulous promise? I'm glad he's making changes again, but his schedule isn't fair to you or the kids. His lack of timelines or concrete goals means he'll always have some excuse. I don't know if anyone has ever said, but be firm and not getting a second house. What's even the point if he almost bailed on a simple vacation? It's something you'll have to maintain on top of everything else, be it hiring cleaners and yard work or renting it or both. And it'll just be another excuse to work longer and keep pushing back the date. He'll step up and actually father his children. Opie responded saying since he's changed his schedule and consolidated classes, he's been more involved. He plays basketball with our son now in the backyard. We had an adjustable hoop put in, which is now finally being used. He's spending time with our daughter too. The new changes have helped. We have a nanny that comes in and a cleaner too, so that helps with the chores. I deliberately don't give him like chores or errands to be honest, because he's still adjusting. Even when he asks if there are any. Really all I want him to do is be in the living room with us, go out with us, and just be present with us. Which he's doing a lot more of now. Commenter says, I think you need to establish a rule that he's no longer even allowed to ask if he can tutor on Sundays. It's not fair to be making you the bad guy who has to say no. And if he was serious about this, he wouldn't be asking in the first place. Opie says, if he asks, I will say no now. But that's a good point about even the question being off limits. I'll think about that. Commenter says, I'm happy you got your vacation. Hopefully your husband gets more tests done to narrow down his health issue. The part where you have to veto his extra work makes me narrow my eyes a bit. He's making you the bad guy instead of holding himself accountable. Opie says, at this point I'm honestly okay with being the bad guy. I won't let him do what he was doing. I won't let him deprive my kids of their father by working himself to a grave. It seems like I'm becoming overbearing or mothering him. I'm okay with being seen that way now. Oh dearie me. And a commenter comes in saying, sorry if this is rude, but are you not at the same point as a year ago? Nothing really changed at all. It's the same update as before. You go back to the same stuff and then you'll be back here. And then you'll update again that you finally found a workaround and he's free on Wednesday and Sunday. Then you'll be back again saying he broke his word again, rinse and repeat. Again, I'm sorry if this is rude, but nothing is going to change. He's just going to wait to do the same bullshit. I'm saying this as this man's daughter. My dad worked like that for most of my life and is trying now to build a relationship with me. I love him, but it's weird. You're being naive. You have to be strong. Well, that's going to be your life. Forever, really. It does not get better if you don't grow a spine. Opie says, I won't let us go back. Not when going back is affecting his health and by extension our kids. When I said I would disrupt his late night classes, I really meant it at the time. So May 19th, 2026, Opie comes in with what is titled their final update and says, hi, I thought I'd give an update. It was actually because this weekend my mum was over and had remarked that I look a lot less stressed and that we seem to all be doing much better. I felt happy about that. If a third person can see improvement, we must be doing something right. I've been a lot firmer with my husband since his health scare. I told him that I had 2 kids with him with the knowledge that they have their father, and there was no way I was going to let them be deprived of one. He too has been taking organization of his hours more seriously. I've helped him in handling his schedule and sometimes dealing with students and parents. He almost exclusively does group classes now. I've set it up so his classes end at 7:30 p.m. on weekdays, and Sundays are totally free. Once or twice every couple of weeks there'll be a late weekday, but they're sometimes required according to him. He says since it's group classes, he keeps pace with the school that's going the fastest, which means he sometimes has to do extra class with those students who were behind in school compared to his. It's fine though, it's not that often. He was more reluctant to let me handle some of his communication with parents and students. Honestly, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but some parents can be extremely entitled. Like they keep insisting on extra attention or one-on-one classes. Act like just offering to pay more will get them whatever. My husband and I talked about it. I told him hardly anyone would leave. If they're coming off of reputation, they won't. And not a single one has. Based on the doctor's instructions, we've been diligently tracking his blood pressure. It still worries them, especially with his family history. It's better like 140 or 85 most recently. So it's still worrisome, but I'm hoping these changes, less stress, better sleep, schedule helps. Because he's free after at least 7:30 and all of Sunday, he's spending a lot more time with me and our kids. I'm really glad we're able to get to a better place while my daughter is still an infant. I do feel guilty and I feel like I failed our son because he didn't get that time when he was her age, but he's getting it now, and I hope that can continue and not change now. Like I think I've said this before too, I don't need to give him chores around the house, all that is fine. Really, all I needed was for him to be present for us like a normal family, and I think we've done a good job in that regard of late. Thank you to everyone who helped. Some comments stung last time, but maybe I needed that to stop letting things slide, so thanks. One commenter says to OP, parents can be truly entitled, and they don't stop. I work with college students. Glad he's doing better though. 140/85 isn't fantastic. It's still an improvement and a win for you both. It really sounds as though your entire family is on the right track. Hope it stays that way. I'm not sure how I felt by the end of this because objectively things do seem to be better. You know, him being home by 7:30, Sundays seem to be protected this time. Again, I'm saying this time because we saw the pattern early on and it hasn't seemed to have changed really. Yes, he's spending more time with the kids, the vacation happened, and his health seems to be changing for the better slightly. But the way that OP talks throughout this whole thing, it's just like he's only grateful for scraps. Quoting a certain section, I don't need to give him chores around the house. Really all I need for him was to be present for us like a normal family. It just felt like such a low bar. She's not asking him to be like super dad. She's not asking him to renovate the house or cook every meal or take over childcare. She just wants her husband and her kids to actually be around to bond. And then there was a part where it said she's helping manage his schedule. She's almost getting pulled into it now. I really do hope things do turn around from here on out for OP, for their family, for his health at the same time. For the kids, because honestly, it just made me feel a bit sad in the end. But what do you guys make of this situation? Bloody hell, that one went on for a while. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't